Shakespeare, my dear fellow, they're one of his most famous lines ever. I wish to divulge my own learning of the subject, for I have a turn in literature too, you know. Perhaps you could turn your attention to more apt lines then? Give me my robe, put on my crown. I have immortal longings in me. Cleopatra's final speech. Yeah, completely does not have any relevance to the current situation. He just wanted to quote Shakespeare and chose the first thing he could think of. This guy, peak ADHD. Anyway, what do you think about fucking soap? Mr. Garrett, could I show you this? I'm allergic. Look at this photograph! Is that your son who's there with you? No, not at all. He was a lodger here once. Duncan Ross was his name. Duncan Ross? A street photographer happened to be passing, so I asked him to take a shot. Just for kicks, really. Was he, by any chance, the God damn it. Lodger before Mr. Natsume? Yeah, that's right. Ah, the young gentleman who died in the room in mysterious circumstances. So finally, this case has a dead body on its hands. Just what Mr. Mustache was waiting for, one might say. Yes, young Duncan lived in the room at the top of the first flight of stairs before that. Stairs. Before that Japanese chap. Would you mind telling us a little more about him? I would mind, but I have nothing better to do with my time, so I'll do it anyway. Yes, Duncan Ross. Young chap was attending art school. Had to work to pay for it, mind. Moved into the middle floor room about a year ago after that criminal Selden was arrested. Young students are always on the hunt for rooms with a history. Timeline. So weird. Okay, so... Selden was arrested a year ago. Duncan Ross moved in then. 3 months ago, Selden died. And shortly after Duncan Ross died, Natsume moved in immediately, and then after that, shortly, Shamspear did as well. Okay. Yes, well, anyway, enough about my cheap rent. It was 1 hour and about a month ago now. One morning about a month ago now. Hadn't quite worked out the old trick of watching the gas lamps to see what my lodgers are up to at the time. So sadly, I was rather tardy to discover what had happened. Smell of gas that alerted me what it was. Ah yes, synonymous with the smell of death. Called the police straight away, of course, and the officer kicked the door off his hinges. Once we got inside, we all bully collapsed. Because of the gas? Yes. Room was full of it. No air at all. Stove must have gone out while the poor chap was sleeping in his bed. So Mr. Ross suffocated to death? Of course. The police gave me a sound ticking off because the gas pipes were so old and all that. Can't tell how much it set me back to have the lot replaced all over the house. But even after you had all that work done, Mr. Natsume says the same thing. That the stove goes out at night whilst he's asleep in bed. Well, that's the Bolly curse, the convict's curse. I've done my duty as a landlord now. I don't have to fix fucking anything. Someone's feeling defensive. Alright, I've decided it's time for you to get out of my room. What? About the young Duncan. The night before the poor chap perished. He'd been writing a letter. A letter of affection to a young lady. A love letter, you mean? Yes. Where did I put it now? Ah. Here it is. Left it on my desk. If you'll excuse me, I want to shoot that letter with my gun. To my most beautiful and charming sweetheart. Do you think that we should be reading such a personal piece of correspondence?
Wait, is that the letter that was in the last case?
No. That was a bookmark.
Oh yeah, that's right.
My dear Susato, that is precisely why I prefaced my reading with, if you'll excuse me. I will not excuse you, Mr. Sholmes, no! Sadly, he didn't address it though, so I've no means of delivering the thing. Rather sad, really. I see. That's going to play on my mind. But really, the identity of Mr. Ross's sweetheart has no bearing on the case. I think we should leave well alone. Yes, I suppose you're right. Indeed, the intended recipient's address is missing. However, there is a name attributed to the man's most beautiful and charming sweetheart. Mr. Sholmes, please! I've already had to chastise you about this once. My undying love to you, my colorful darling, Olive Green. Well, I don't know who that is. I guess this is garbage. He just fucking throws it in the fire.
It was...
No!
It was her view.
Yeah, I fucking called that one from a mile away. Because they look exactly the same.
And they're both college students.
Olive Green! The woman who was plunged into a coma after a knife plunged into her back outside this house 5 days ago. The victim of the last case Sosaki-san was in court for. I'm gonna keep going. Is that okay? Alright. The victim... That's not Sholmes. The victim of the last case Sosaki-san was in court for, who regained consciousness only yesterday. Yeah, this really makes me believe that, like, maybe the second case wasn't supposed to be in the last game, but then they, like, realized last second. They're like, wait a second, we have too many... We can't fit this and the main storyline in the first game. But we also don't have enough cases to fill out the first game, so let's just throw this one in and save this for the next game. Even though that doesn't make any sense, like, because, like, with the cat just comes out of nowhere in the first game. Like, you barely get it mentioned in, Case 4, and then it just is there in Case 5. It feels like something's missing. Are you going to be just here?
Yep.
Wagging? Okay. Mr. Naruto, whatever can this mean? That Capcom's bad at planning. Reading personal correspondence can have its merits, you see, Miss Susato. Ah ha 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 ha!
Slap.
It's why I read every letter that you ever get. You what?
You could read
Ignore
Japanese.
that!
I didn't know you could read Japanese.
Ignore that! I read it anyway, even if I can't read Japanese. I like to pretend. Second, this... blah, blah, blah. Mr. Naruto, I've just finished speaking with the doctor. It seems Miss Green is well enough to be discharged at last. This is good news, but hopefully just before she leaves. Miss Green, that's poison! What was that? Oh, one moment. Oh, I can't fucking remember what I did for a voice. I'll be with you in a jiffy. Did she fucking eat it?
No, she put it on the table below.
Okay. Oh, hello everyone. What are you all doing here? Doctor said I can be discharged, so I'm getting my things together. Miss Green, what were you just doing? Oh, nothing really. I was just about to take some medicine the doctor prescribed for me, that's all. Well, we were hoping to have another quick chat with you, if that's alright. I don't really have anything else to tell you. Alright, she's definitely behaving strangely. Let's see if we can't coax something out of her. But first, that bottle is mighty suspicious. This is the bottle that Miss Green was just about to drink from when we arrived. Yes, she looked rather preoccupied, didn't she? Perhaps it's very bitter. I can't stand bitter medicine. I suppose that could be it. In fact, whenever a doctor prescribes me medicine for a number of days, I always take it all at once. God damn it, I was just thinking about this. Like, sort of the same deal, but like, when I get a bill, I'd rather pay it all at once than in little segments, because I don't like the bitterness of having to pay it in segments. But you can't do the same with medicine! Oh no! Well, if you have to take something you don't like, it's best to get it all out of the way in one go, isn't it? How are you still alive? And I thought it was Miss Green I should be worrying about at the moment. Where did my wife go? This is the card that Miss Green was looking at so intently before, isn't it? Mr. Naruto, we shouldn't be peeking at a young maiden's private affairs. Or her privates. I should save peeking for gentlemen's effects only. You what?! And maybe you, Mr. Sato, shouldn't be peeking into a young man's mind either. He said it! She just fucking mind reads people.
You just said it?
Yeah! Maybe you, Miss Susato, shouldn't be peeking into a young man's mind either. Fucking, she could just read minds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But only if they're very stupid. That's why it hasn't helped us with the case at all. Any of the cases. Hey, what you got there? It's wonderful news that you're going to be discharged, Miss Green. Oh yes, I mean, thank you. Once people are better, the hospital staff don't want them lingering and wasting space. That's, well, not true anymore. Not people like me, anyway. So I don't think I should keep anyone waiting. I probably shouldn't stand around and chat. She certainly doesn't seem to be in the mood to talk, that's for sure. Hey, what do you think of... I don't know, maybe just handprints on the wall? What does that remind you of? Anything? No. Okay, what about this thing? Mr. Duncan Ross, you knew him, didn't you? Blech! Pink juice. Oh
Miss Green, are you alright?
And a key.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you like that.
No, it's alright. I just wasn't expecting it. But how did you know about Duncan?
Mr. Ross had been writing a letter. Whoa. Mr. Ross had been writing a letter when he passed away. The landlord found it in his room. It was a very personal letter to you.
It was at the art school. That's where I met Duncan, a year ago now. He was working to fund his studies. He dreamt of becoming a professional artist one day.
And the two of you became romantically involved.
We were fucking, yes, that's right. We were very much in love. We were engaged to be married, actually.
Oh, shit.
That's why I decided to move into a cheaper room to save money for the wedding.
Why do you have to save money for a wedding? It's price of ink on a piece of paper. That's it, right? Right? That's all it should cost.
All it should, but then again, remember how
That's-
big the Christian church is.
Not in England!
Hmm?
They're Protestants. You're thinking of the Catholic Church.
Not Catholic.
That's what led him to Mr. Garrideb's.
Yes, he told me he'd found the worst but cheapest room in the entire East End. And then, 1 month ago, that's when it happened.
We're so terribly sorry, Miss Green.
Well, it's all in the past now, I suppose.
Poor Miss Green. She looks so desperately sad. I'm starting to think that's just her look. But now I see that she has every reason to feel the universe is against her.